At this one, Craig Connell, the Ducati dealer team rider, over he goes. Then Adam Ferguson goes over, followed by Paul Free, and you can see that in full on trackside next weekend. And we should just let you know that everybody's okay. Yeah, that's right, Baz.
Quite unbelievable, but everybody was okay.
So that was an earlier incident today with the Superbikes as we have a look at the grid for the third and final race. Of course, starting positions from the second, Scaife and Ingle, the front row, Bow and Tanda, Seaton and Steve Johnson, Cameron McConville and John Faulkner.
I should point out that Jason Wright is out for the day with front suspension damage. Tony Longhurst and Larry Perkins, Greg Murphy, Paul Radisich moving up the order. Cameron McLean, the top privateer, Mark Larkham, Jason Bargwanna, and the second of the privateers, Steve Bree.
And how about the kid, Leighton Cranbrook, started today 29th. The 17-year-old is in position 17.
That's amazing.
Going very well.
Peter Dillman, Mike Emery, Kim Jane, his V8 Supercar debut, Rod Nash, Paul Romano having a bad day, Rodney Forbes, right back there in the order with Bobby Jones in the Cadillac Productions car.
And if you're saying where did he come from, well, Bob was one of the reserves who didn't initially qualify, make the qualifying cut, right out, so he comes in.
That's amazing, that Leighton Cranbrook. It's totally incredible.
17-year-old kid out of Darwin. He drives 700 horsepower sprint cars on the clay. This is his first ever drive in a V8 supercar, and he's already cracked the top 20.
Apparently he started racing Speedway when he was 10. And he's done HQs the last couple of years, and it's only really his second time in a car. He did a quick stint at Eastern Creek. Green flag at the back. We'll talk more about that later. Get ready, race 3. Can this one be Ingles? Scaife is from the inside. Wait for the green. Here it is, and Ingles still on it.
Is he going to get hit up the back?
Hopefully not. Everybody can avoid him. Everyone's seen that.
Russell.
And Tanda gets away to a brilliant start. Garth Tanda leads them into the first turn. Look at Cameron McConville.
Oh, look at McConville.
He's up into third at the moment. He will go back to fourth, I would say. He's on the outside run. Johnson's been carted wide also. Seaton has slipped through the inside. A nice move by the FTR AU. McConville's getting shuffled back. He's now in fifth.
Well, we said this was going to be an unusual year.
That's a drive, like a drive coupling or something.
So Engel, mechanical failure on the grid at a critical time in the championship. We saw this at Calder last year when he suffered brake failure in one of the heats, cost him dearly. Now at a point where he was able to capitalise on Lowndes' misfortune, he's had another mechanical drama.
Yeah, you see, that's something mechanical. Yeah. It's broken. I couldn't quite see what it was. I would assume it's something to do with the drive shaft or differential or something.
Could have been a propeller shaft loop under the floor, but something's broken on that car.
Yeah, part of a tail shaft.
Well, it was all happening at Queensland Raceway in the second race. We thought Tanda was heading for his first win, and then the race was stopped. Things changed. He did win the third race, but then that decision was overturned during an appeal where they gave it to John Bow, who did come across the line first. Could this be Tanda's first real win? I'll tell you what, he's going to get a hard working over from Scaife.
I was going to say he's definitely getting the hurry up from Mark, isn't he?
Look at the way they've got to wrestle these cars in the opening laps of these heats. The tyres are cold, the temperatures are down, so the tyre pressures haven't come up, and they really are a handful. You can see Tanda just on a full power slide coming out of that bottom turn as he tries to keep Scaife boxed in. Good run from John Bow too. He's up to third position.
Points on after the second race, after 2 races today. Scaife's heading for his 4th round win of the year, if things remain as is, and Tanda in good shape for another podium finish.
Tanda gets out of that corner onto the start and finish good, and if you look at the speed of Tanda's car, it's definitely not slow. Look at that.
Yeah, plenty of squirt in the straight line. The Mike XL tuned Chevy engines built at Gary Rogers Motorsport doing the job. Oh, look at how late.
Late on the brakes, the last of the late breakers, our Scaife.
And Tanda defending magnificently here in the opening laps of Heat 3.
Further back in the order, we see Radisich has worked his way up into 8th position. There he is right there behind Stephen Johnson and John Faulkner.
Well, there's no doubt about this car that Garth Tanda's driving. This is the same car that Jason Bargwanna had his first win for Gary Rogers Motorsport at Calder Park last year. So that old VS Commodore worked particularly well around this Melbourne track.
I think Jason Bargwanna wishes he was still in it.
Yeah, it's been a frustrating year for Bargwanna. He had a good run in race 2 though, guys, because he came from 31st to 15th. So Bargwanna, we could see him up there shortly.
I'll tell you someone who we might also see, Craig Lowndes in a VS Commodore in Tasmania in 2 weeks' time, because I've spoken to the chief engineers at Mobile Holden Racing Team. That car has had it, they can't fix it, so they may well be even pulling out one of the old Holden Young Lions Lions Commodores for Craig Lowndes to drive at Simmons Plain. Should be fascinating.
And also in between, as we join Radicic, the in-car camera, Paul Weissel, the Holden Racing Team PR guy, ducked his head in earlier.
Yes.
Said that he spoke with Natalie Lowndes, who's with Craig, and he is all okay.
Bit bruised and sore, but I'm sure we'll see him in action in Tasmania to defend this title.
Yeah, that's how you have to really worry about Natalie, you know, because we're all thinking, oh, poor old Craig, or poor Natalie, when it's your loved one, and you don't know how they are, but thank God he's all right.
Triple Telemetry with Radicic. Lap 4 of 21, and look at the congestion ahead. Teammates Steve Johnson, Faulkner, McConville, Seaton, they're all there. Let's ride with Radicic.
Yeah, it's a difficult situation for Paul Radicic to be in if he's quicker than Stephen, because
Up the inside.
Faulkner there.
Yep, Faulkner out to drive.
Yeah, he did, absolutely. Is that what they call closing the door? Yeah, it's a difficult situation for Radicic because he can't sort of really muscle in and sort of punt Stephen, or not, he'd punt anybody off, but it's always a difficult thing if it's your teammate.
Well, he's certainly got plenty of experience at coming through traffic this year, Paul Radicic.
He's done nothing else, has he, really?
Oh, he went back to the back of the grid, fought his way up to the top 10. Now he's running in 8th position in Heat 3. It's been the toughest of days for him, but he really has been a real trooper for the Shell Helix team. It was a big loss when John Bowe moved to the Caterpillar Ford operation, but Paul Radicic has filled his boots magnificently for a guy who's never competed in a full Shell Series round.
We could see that Cat 4 on the podium as well. After this race, lap 6 of 21, we'll go the full distance. There's Cameron McLean in the Greenfield Mowers car, and Jason Bargwanna right behind him. I'd imagine that's back around, I'll tell you where it is, 11 and 12. Here is the young guy we've been talking about, Leighton Cranbrook and Darren Pate. Cranbrook, now this is the ex-Greg Crick, the ex-Ericsson Trust Bank car, previously owned by John Alcorn, and Cranbrook's father has bought the whole shooting match, really. He bought the transporter and the whole team, and has taken on Bob Tyndall to run the show.
I'll tell you what, Lee, it also shows how national this V8 Supercar Series is becoming. Yeah. We've got a WA team this year. Now we've got some guys coming out of the Northern Territory.
Yeah, well, this will stay in Sydney, though, and Cranbrook and his father will just go for a transit between Darwin and the rounds.
But what a future Leighton's got. I mean, he's 17 years old and he's flying. You know, that's incredible. It's quite impressive, to say the least.
He's got Darren Pate behind him, who's got considerably more V8 Supercar experience than he in Terry Finnegan's car. And he's putting himself more than comfortably, the young Northern Territory kid.
Meanwhile, at the front, Tanda is leading from Scaife still by half a second. Here's Mark Paul. Now, it was interesting to raise that scenario. This is the ex-Craig Lowndes Mobile Holden Racing Team Commodore, which has now been sold to Paul. But I wonder if the mobile team might be leaning on it to borrow the car in Tasmania. Should be fascinating. Can we have that back just for a couple of weeks, mate?
They were saying that they had some trouble. Something, they felt a bang or whatever it was, and the thing lost a lot of power, and HRT have been trying to help them during the break between the races to try and find out what's wrong. But that's a good-looking car, isn't it?
Well, in race one, he was flying, and then he had that incident with Murph down the end of the straight.
And after that, the thing wouldn't go.
Yeah.
So.
Well, he's back in 16th position, which isn't too shabby considering a 32-car field.
So Garth Tanda continuing to defend well from Mark Scaife. We go on board the mobile car number 2. Scaife upholding the flag for the factory Holden team after his teammate went out in that spectacular crash. Fortunately, Lowndes okay. He will leave this championship round still in the lead of the points. So it doesn't matter what Lowndes does to give the others an opportunity to catch up. Still defending magnificently on that points chase.
I think it's so interesting to keep an eye on the Formula Ford category because and see where these young kids go, because here's a classic example of Tanda, who remained in Australia, and his main arch rival a couple of years ago was Marcus Ambrose, who's still racing Formula Fords but in the UK and doing very well in 3rd. Tanda stayed in Australia, picked up a V8 drive, and look at him now.
It wasn't a bad move, was it? Only stretching imagination.
Well, I should stress too that Marcus is doing very well. I'm not saying either is a better move, but I'm just saying interesting to see which ways they go.
Big pack thundering down toward turn 1 once again.
Radicic on Faulkner.
Yes.
Radicic side by side up the Cummins Commodore, and it takes another position. So Faulkner tries to cut back on the inside. A little bit of a nudge there on the way out of the corner, but Radicic has got the position. Well, you'd think he does.
Well, yeah, more or less.
How close can Faulkner get as we take the camera out the back of Radicic's car?
A bit better on acceleration to forward there.
Yeah.
Talking with John earlier, guys, he said that he's had a few nibbles of sponsorship, so that's great. Pleasing to hear. We may see some new sponsorship on the Faulkner car. Longhurst has improved as the day's gone on. He started 16th, currently running 9th.
I was dumbfounded that better electrical left Faulkner. I can't understand that at all.
Tell you what, back at the lead of the pack, Tanda opened up 0.2 of a second on Scaife. May not sound like a lot, but that takes him to almost a second lead over the mobile car. So Tanda's doing a great job in the lead here under maximum pressure from the 1994 Australian Touring Car champion.
Here's Greg Murphy and Cameron McLean. Look at Bargwanna! Right up the inside, Jason Bargwanna, desperate to get through.
And he's done. How about that? What a move. Move and play of the day. That was absolutely.
Well,
that was brilliant. That was brilliant, Bargwanna.
If you're not going to move, I'll make you move.
That was, how about that?
Two positions in one.
That was phenomenal. He came out of nowhere.
Yeah, you can't believe it.
Well, it's desperation stakes for Bargs. He wants to make something of it, and he snatches 2 positions just like that at the halfway mark. But his teammate, Garth Tanda, the 22-year-old, is still leading the way. We'll see if he can hang on right after this. Of the 99 Shell Championship Series, and Garth Tanda, originally from WA, now lives right here in Melbourne. The Gary Rogers Valvoline Cummins pilot is well on the way. Lap 12 of 21. What a determined drive. Quick sneak peek in the rearview mirror to see where Scaife was. He's some 7, almost 0.8 of a second behind. Down into turn 1. So he's got a handy buffer there, but he'll have to keep an eye on Scaife. Great under brakes in turn 1, isn't he?
Yeah, absolutely. You remember at that night race, but oh, look at this. This is Bargs. This was absolutely amazing. You call him Houdini to get through there. He just that was a hot move, wasn't it? Absolutely the player today. There's no doubt about that.
That was the move that put him into the top 10. Now here's an earlier incident. Anthony Tratt spinning.
Yeah, you'd have to say he just locked up the rear end now. And once you lock up the rear end, the back comes around, there's nothing you can do.
Well, this is a tough battle. This Scaife just trying everything to close the gap. It's down to 0.7 of a second. Tanda, 56.86 for Tanda. Scaife at 56.81. It's down to 5/100ths of a second, the difference in their lap times. This is a real battle.
It's a case of deja vu here, guys. We're winding back the clock 12 months, aren't we?
Exactly.
An HRT car chasing, well, a former HRT car. Different driver. Tanda in it this year, Bargwanna last year.
And his first
that's right, it's exactly the same car, Barry, yeah. But it was Lowndes chasing Bargwanna. Now it's Scaife chasing Tanda.
We were talking about this at the Queensland Raceway. Maybe the Mobile Holden Racing team will develop a policy where they don't sell old cars anymore. I'll put them in the crusher. No one's going to get their hands on them.
Well, not this one anyway. How big's the queue going to be to buy this car off Gary Rogers?
Yeah, I'll tell you what, it's had a few hits. It's a good car, though. Fantastic car. Here's John Bowe defending from Glenn Seaton. It's been a long, hard day for Seaton. We saw him adjusting his anti-roll bars in the car in the previous heat. He said, well, that's not ideal. You don't really want to be doing that. What I'm doing is searching to try and make this package work better for me. So he has been struggling, which is quite surprising considering this is FTR's nominated test track.
Bowe holding third and holding steady. Seaton fourth, McConville still fifth. Stephen Johnson, that is a really impressive drive. His first time under race conditions since Bathurst last year, and he will finish in three races, 3 top 10 positions.
Yeah, absolutely outstanding.
That's good going, isn't it?
He is a star in the waiting, I should say. Maybe next year, who knows, does he take over the number 17 Falcon and lead the Johnson dynasty into the new millennium? I don't think you get a better pilot than Stephen Johnson. He's a great talent.
McLean, or rather I should say McConville, in the Warwick Fabrics Echo Commodore, is back there behind Seaton in fifth. There he is, right on Seaton now, in fact.
Great drive by him.
Yeah, it'll be sad to see him go out of the Sprint Series. It was just for 3 races, his drive with John Faulkner Racing, but we will see him at the Queensland 500 at Queensland Raceway in the Mobile Holden Racing Team cars.
Bridgestone driver's profile for Glenn Seaton as he flashes across the start-finish line to clock up another lap. Cameron McConville hot in pursuit. This is the sister car to John Faulkner's VT Commodore, a by-drive situation. And Cameron McConville has really shown he's a very, very talented steerer. Puts him in good stead for the big enduros to come later in the year. Queensland 500 and, of course, the 1000K at Bathurst.
For those of you who watch trackside each week after the V8 rounds, McConville was 1996 Australian GT production car champion. Have a look at Stephen Johnson on the inside here, making a big move.
Yes.
Gotcha. And Radisich will be there as well, ready to pounce.
Oh, he tried to, but McConville shut the door. Well, Stephen Johnson, for a guy who's a little battle green.
That was a nice little nick through there.
Oh, that was a very well-timed move. Positioned the car beautifully, hasn't it? Really put a scrape on it too. 5 laps remaining for our race leader, Garth Tanda, still defending a half a second lead over Mark Scaife. 4.8 seconds back to John Bow.
Look at him catching Seaton too.
Johnson catching Seaton.
Ah, he is flying. Radisich is going with him. Oh!
What makes that drive, or today, even more impressive for Stephen, is he's suffering from a severe bout of the flu.
Yeah.
He's quite sick. So he'll be making Dad proud, that's for sure. Dick is here today, watching from the sideline.
It's amazing once the adrenaline pumps how racing drivers forget all that sort of stuff. The eyes go on, the visor comes down, and they're locked into race mode. Stephen Johnson is absolutely flying at Calder Park this afternoon. He is on fire right up behind the factory Ford. Well, Scaife really hasn't been able to close it, has it? It's half a second, 6 tenths, 7 tenths of a second. It's all under a second, but
Tanda gets the power down there, Mark. You see coming out that right-hander onto the straight. But once he gets there,
Dougal McDougall. That's coming out of turn 1.
Gone for a bit of a hayride. Disturbed all the bales. Yeah, that's coming out of turn 1.
Out of turn 1. Scaife is right on Tanda. Look at this.
But this is the big advantage of this VS Commodore. It's the rear suspension geometry just suits these slow speed corners much better. The car's got better grip coming out of these low to mid-corner turns, and that is where Scaife is not being able to make the difference.
Dougal's had some problem and run wide there, crunching into the hay bales. As we get back to it, well, Scaife denied Tanda from his first win yet again.
Well, this is the fascinating thing since they've switched to this Bridgestone control tyre in 1999. It's really come down to the engineers working with the drivers to try and get the most out of the tyres. We've seen guys going through and absolutely butchering their rubber before the race is finished. 3 laps remaining at Tanda. You can see how much better that car gets out of that corner onto the straight.
But the great thing now is, Mark, that you get all the engineers, the driver input, and that, as you say, you have to make a good package that looks after the tyres so that it's 3 races. It's a long old day. And
looks like Dougal's
getting it going again.
He's getting out of the hay, so he's getting back into the race. But this tremendous battle, this is really intense stuff. Absolutely 10-tenths race driving. These 2 drivers under maximum pressure. Scaife on the attack, Tanda on the defence. And here's the pack behind them.
Radisich still hasn't been able to get past McConville, though.
Yeah.
So Cameron doing a terrific job. Watch him hug the inside line, going down into this right-hander. Stephen Johnson right on. Now that's Chris Smurden.
Fire there.
Broken back suspension too, by the look of it.
So problems there for Smurden. We go back. This is the view from the rear of Seaton's car. Stephen Johnson, Cameron McConville, and Paul Radisich. Lap 19 of 21. We're winding it down, but they're cranking it up. Johnson goes for the inside line. He's going to have the run here on down here. Seaton will move across.
Yeah, Seaton just a little bit quicker out of there than Stephen was.
He's a pretty experienced campaigner. Look at the rubbish all over the track.
Yeah, there's a lot of about.
Flying out the back of Seaton's car. 2 laps remaining for our race leader, but this battle continues. A fantastic battle for 4th position between Glenn Seaton, Stephen Johnson, Cameron McConville, Paul Radisich.
Now, even if Mark Scaife doesn't get past Garth Tanda, so long as things remain as is, even with Scaife finishing second on the points, he will still win the day outright, which will be his 4th round win this year.
Well, that's an important position for him too, because he's been right back in the points after some wretched luck early in the season. That's going to move him right up, knocking on the door of his teammate. This Shell Championship just gets hotter and hotter.
And as far as the V8 Supercars are concerned, Ford still won't win a round here at Calder. It has been Holden dominated.
I'd say Stephen is going to struggle here. I can't see anywhere that he's going to be able to get past Glenn at all.
It's amazing.
And now Glenn's pulled out quite a bit.
It's amazing when you look back at the statistics. The last time a Ford V8 won a touring car race here, a round win, was Dick Johnson back in 1982. Can you believe it?
In the XD.
It's been a bogey circuit. One final lap.
Pressure's on. We're on our way home. Can Garth Tander hang on? There's plenty of action further back for the minor placings. Bargwanna's caught up to Longhurst now. We could see some action here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cars in that group. But time running out. Here's Garth Tander.
Well, is he going to get his first race win? He missed out on it after a legal battle in Queensland. Well, can he hang on?
He brings it into the main straight. Garth Tander will come to the line and take his first V8 Supercar race win.
Wow.
But there's going to be no question about that. There's no appeals. There's no windbacks. He's got it.
Wow, what a great moment for the 22-year-old. He's a guy on the way up, isn't he?
Oh, he absolutely brims with confidence now, doesn't he? I mean, when he had a little bit of a sort of a faux pas at the beginning of the year, but now he's absolutely on the boil.
Terrific stuff at Queensland Raceway. His mechanic, John Panozzo, and Gary Rogers, the whole team, Mike Exel, the engine builder, Steve Kramer, who deals with the Olin shocks and has done a lot of work on this car. They were all just over the moon, and they'll experience that sensation again today. Great solid day, a good solid day from Scaife. He will win the day, and plenty of championship points in the bag, although a disastrous day for his teammate, but just confirming that Craig Lowndes is okay after that horrendous accident at the beginning of race 2. There is your winner for the third and final. Well done, Garth Tander. He wins his first V8 Supercar race. Here's the final placings on your Shell Helix race score. Bowen, Seaton, Johnson, an impressive 5th from McConville, Radicic and Faulkner. That was a hard-fought battle. Longhurst did well in 9th. Bargwanna, excellent in 10th there. McLean, Murphy, Perkins, Larkham, Poole and Reid. We'll be back to wrap things up.
Welcome back to Calder Park Raceway, a day of high drama in the V8 Supercar battle in 1999, including a spectacular crash to our championship leader, Craig Lowndes. Fortunately, Craig okay, and he will live to fight another day. But a great battle nonetheless in the privateer division today. Put your hands together, the guy who drives the world's fastest lawnmower, Cameron McLean. I suppose we could say you're mowing down the opposition, but that's a bit obvious, isn't it?
Yeah, it's one of the old puns, they say. But yeah, we did a bit of mowing today. We had a rough first race, and the car was consistent after that, and we got some good results, and we're delighted.
Congratulations, Cameron McLean, looking very strong in the privateer battle in 1999. Looking strong here today too. Boy, this is not a good hunting ground for the Fords. They haven't won here for a long time, but the man who's upholding the blue oval today is John Bowe. Would that be right, saying it was hard work? It certainly looked like it out there.
Yeah, it was hard work. We couldn't really get the car the way we liked it to, but the guys in the Cat Racing team did a fantastic job, and we didn't have the fastest car, but at least we finished, which is more than a lot can say.
I was going to say, it was a real battle for survival out there, wasn't it?
Well, it was a fair bit of carnage. I didn't see it all, but I saw a bonnet go over my roof at one stage. That wasn't very pleasant.
Talking about carnage, we'll go to second place now. Garth Tander, who really, his car was in the wars. It looks like it's, we said in the commentary, it's gone 10 rounds with a baseball bat. Put your hands together for Garth Tander. Now, what did you have in your hand there before? You had like a belt. What's the story with that?
Well, after what happened down the end there, Gary had to take his belt off so we could keep the driver's door shut. So thanks, boss. I just got to thank our guys. At one stage we were going backwards with the whole field looking at us, and they fixed the car in 5 minutes, and then in between races got it. So it was a jet in that last one. So thanks to them. Thanks to our sponsors, Valvoline, Cummins and Holden. And thanks for everyone, and see you next time.
Congratulations, Garth Tander. His second time on the podium in 2 meetings. Right now, I'd like to call on Ross Brody, Motorsport Manager for Shell, to make the presentation to our overall winner today. He held up the flag brilliantly for the Mobile Holden Racing team. Put your hands together for Mark Scaife. Why do they always do that to you? Wow, well, it was a bad run for Craig. Obviously, the worst result you could imagine, but you came through, and that now moves you up to third in the points battle.
Well, obviously the championship's the important thing, Mark, but you know, it was one of those days for the team. The team have done a great job all weekend. Our cars are obviously up there. It's a tragedy with you know, with the start line incident with Craig. Obviously the car's very damaged, but the best thing is he's okay. So you know, the team have won for the day. So to the guys, well done, fellas. It's a fantastic effort.
Now, talking about the guys, the big question is now, what does Craig Lowndes drive in 2 weeks' time?
I will find something, mate. Holden got plenty of them.
Might be an old Commodore coming out of the works. Put your hands together, folks. Mark Scaife, the big winner at Calder. This Shell Championship is getting red hot.
It certainly is, as we take a look at the championship points. Now, Lowndes' lead hasn't been reduced by all that much, but the significant points are Glenn Seaton has moved back up into second. Mark Scaife has come from fifth up into third, and Bright has gone from second back to fourth. We see Garth Tander maintaining his sixth, and a switch of positions between Tony Longhurst in ninth and Stephen Richards in 10th. Well, the important thing to keep in mind right now is that there's only 3 sprint rounds left in this championship before we get into the Enduros. Barry Sheen, we had it all here today.
Well, you say that again. Nobody can say this lot's predictable, can they? The great news is that Craig Lowndes went to hospital for a 5,000 prang checkup or something, and he's back at the circuit, and he's a little bit achy and painy, but nothing broken, so thank God for that.
Which is so fortunate. All right, let's check the motorsport menu for you, because as always, plenty coming up, and it starts tomorrow night between midnight and 3 a.m. It's an hour longer this time round. Round 12 of the Kart World Series from Michigan. That should be a good one. Also, the next episode of Trackside, each and every week right after the V8s, the Shell Championship Series, that is, 3 to 5. And then we go to Symmons Plains in 2 weeks' time for round 9 of the Shell Series, and it should be good. It always is in Tasmania and between 3 and 5. But check your local guides there. Well, on behalf of Barry Sheen and Mark Oster, it's been a terrific day here at Calder Park. I'm Lee Diffie. We look forward to seeing you from Tasmania. Bye for now. That is Dougal McDougall's LO20.